Hello, welcome to Real Filmmaking. My name's Corey Tindall, and today we're going to be talking about how to make great movies, or Filmmaking 101 if you will. Now, way back in the Stone Ages, it feels like I did this video talking about how to get started with filmmaking. And, you know, looking back on that, it's fine. It got the general principles across that I wanted to get across, but it wasn't great. I've learned a lot since then. And if it was helpful to you, I'd love to hear that. But I wanted to go and kind of update that video, it's the start of the year, the 5 big need-to-know things when you're getting into filmmaking. Now, one of the biggest things when people say, I want to get into filmmaking, but it costs so much money, that's the biggest obstacle that people bring up. It costs so much money. And to counter this, all the points that I'm going to be talking about today, I will try to provide a cheap option of entry so that anybody who wants to pick up a camera and bring the ideas that they have from here to the screen, they can do it. It's accessible to anybody, and that's one of the cool things about filmmaking. Anybody can do it. Anyone can learn the skills. We all have stories we want to tell, and once you learn the tools and the different techniques, you can tell a story. So there'll be 5 main points that I'll be talking about, and the first, probably the biggest one, probably why you're here, is a camera. You need a camera to film stuff, to make a video, to shoot a short film. You need a camera. And a lot of people say it's so expensive to get into filmmaking because of the cameras and the equipment and all the stuff that you need. And granted, it can get a little overboard with the pricing of cameras. You're like, oh dang, I can't afford that. I cannot afford that. But one of the really great things is that nowadays we all have cameras in our pockets. I bet you're watching me on your camera right now. Yeah, so our smartphones are incredible. They can shoot HD video. Most of them can shoot 4K now. You can get some really great results with phones. Whether you have an iPhone or an Android phone or, any of those cameras on those phones are well equipped to handle making, YouTube videos, or even if you want to try to do some short film work. They'll be great. Great starting place. You have it in your pocket. You've already had your first investment towards filmmaking, so you should get out there and do it. But if you're also I want to get into filmmaking, I guess in a proper sense, I don't know, you want a DSLR camera, you want a bigger dedicated camera for doing that, there definitely are tons of options, and again, this is where the prices can get insane. You can spend as much as $100, and you can go all the way, way over there to $10,000 and more. But we don't have to do that. There's lots of great places. I'd recommend Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. You could check out some of the shopping, selling apps like OfferUp and Let's Go, one of those. You can check those places out, and you can find beginner cameras going for anywhere from $200 to $300. And that's really good. It'll usually be a camera with a lens or two, some extra batteries, because there's a lot of people who want to see do I want to do filmmaking? Do I want to dip my toes into it? And so they invest some money, and because there's so many of these cameras, the resale value goes down, so lots of people are trying to get rid of them, which is a great opportunity for you to pick up a camera. So if you want to go the DSLR route, I would recommend don't spend any more than $300. When you're first getting into it, when you want to see what it's all about, $200 to $300 is the safe price range to stay in. The second thing that's probably just as important as the camera is some way to edit the videos once you've shot them on your camera. So you need a computer to handle editing all the videos and going through all of it and stitching it together. And again, there's lots of options for video editing software. You might have heard the words Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere, and you're kind of what the heck? And you look into the prices on them and you're like, whoa, they're pretty expensive. Again, there are free options to lower that barrier of cost for entry into filmmaking. And one that I would recommend is HitFilm Express. HitFilm Express, the best way I can describe it, it's kind of this marriage between Final Cut and Adobe. The great thing about that is Final Cut tends to have a little bit easier user interface, where Premiere has a lot of details in its menu systems, and there's a lot of stuff you can do. It's really powerful. They're both powerful, but HitFilm kind of combines them, so you still have a lot of options of what you can do, but the menus don't feel overwhelming and like hard to navigate. And so I would recommend that. You can go check them out at HitFilm Express and download their free version. I've seen people do videos and tutorials on it. You can look those up on YouTube, and they've come out with some really amazing results, which is really cool. If you're looking for a more pro option, you could go with some of the software I mentioned, Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere. Final Cut's pretty expensive. I think on checking, it's probably sitting $400 or $500. I used Final Cut for a while. I liked it. I mainly use Adobe now, and that's kind of because I use the whole Creative Suite, which is something that you can sign up for. I think it's $20 to $30 a month, and you pay Adobe, but you get a subscription to all their different software. So if you see yourself using other things besides Premiere, like maybe you want to use Photoshop or InDesign or After Effects or any other of their programs, that subscription service would be the way to go for that. So many things, so many things. We're moving right along. The third thing when you're doing all of this that is really important is audio. Audio is super important when you're making movies. And it's kind of one of those things that we don't intrinsically think about. You're like, we're doing video, we're making movies, I need to have a good camera, I need to edit it, but we don't think about audio. So here is kind of just like the unspoken rule about filmmaking. A film will always be forgiven for poor image quality and good sound quality, but the inverse is not true. A pristine looking film, it can have 4K visuals, will not be forgiven for bad audio. If I'm watching something and it's like really intense and it's pretty and it looks great, but I can't understand what people are saying, or the audio is garbled, or like there's just no audio at all, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm gonna turn it off. Whereas something that is shot well, but maybe it's not as like technically impressive, maybe it's not in 4K, maybe whatever, but it has good clear audio that I can actually hear what's going on, that's gonna help me connect to the story. Story is the overarching vehicle for all these different things. If the stuff doesn't serve the story, then people are not going to connect with it. So audio is really important, and there's a number of ways that you can get good audio into your movies. One is that you can use a shotgun microphone if you're using a DSLR. I did a review on a shotgun microphone that I would recommend. Again, those are kind of pricey, so if you don't want to go that route, there's cheaper options. I'd recommend the Rode Video Mic Go or the Micro. It mounts onto the top of your DSLR, and I think they're going between $60 and $100 for both models, that you can pick one or the other up. That would be a good option. If you don't even want to invest that way, if you don't want to go down that road, again, another great option is a smartphone. All smartphones have built-in voice recorder app. While smartphones themselves don't record good audio when you're doing video and stuff, when you get them close to an audio source, you get decent audio from them. So even this video that I'm doing, I'm actually recording the audio from an old smartphone that I had lying around. You just get it close to the subject, get it out of frame, make sure people can't see it, hit record, and you're gonna get far superior audio than you ever would just trying to go like from the camera. From the camera, it just won't sound good. Eventually in time, you can upgrade to get something like a audio interface that you can use an XLR microphone with, which again, everything you can go down a path of spending more money, but I'm trying to say like, what is the easiest way to get started making movies? So smartphone for the win. Good audio, good video. Remember that, it's good. Number 4 that you're gonna need to remember is you gotta have good storage systems. And so when you're doing video, things start to add up really quickly. You might think like, oh, I've never needed to buy an external hard drive before. If you get into video and photography, you will. You will use a lot of space when you're doing video. And I would recommend that you invest in a hard drive. Even if you end up not doing video long term, an external hard drive is always a good thing to have. You can pick up a 2 terabyte hard drive from Seagate, I think, for around 60 to 70 bucks. So that's great. I would just do it. You want to have someplace reliable to put all of your video files that doesn't clog up your computer, because you know, most laptops or standard desktops that you're going to do video editing, they might have like 500 gigs of hard drive space, but that fills up really quickly with video. And then lastly, the last thing that you will need is some sort of notebook or something when you're doing videography to keep all your notes. So when you get out and you're shooting video, whether it's like for a short film or a music video or whatever, the day actually being on set and shooting, you realize how precious time is and how short it is. And if you've got other people with you, you don't want to waste their time. So having some place where you can write down your notes and be prepared before you come into the shoot, it's imperative. You gotta have it. You have to have it or things are gonna go bad. You know, stuff that I'll write down in a notebook like this would be like, you know, my shot list, different notes about things, like if I want to cue the actors in a certain way. I do my storyboards and even having them when I'm shooting to reference, like I wanted the shot to look like this, it doesn't look like that, what am I gonna do about that? All those things are super helpful to have someplace, so that way when you're doing run and gun shooting, you don't miss something that is key to a shoot. And so guys, those are my 5 tips for getting into filmmaking this year. If it's something that you have an interest in, those 5 things will be the essential key components you need to get into filmmaking. Some other bonus things I'll just mention real quickly. They weren't big enough to be main points, but if you're gonna shoot with an iPhone, get some sort of handheld stabilizer. Trying to hold an iPhone like this creates lots of wobbles and it doesn't make for smooth video, so some sort of handheld implement will help smooth out your videos a ton. You probably want to invest in a tripod or a GorillaPod or some sort of thing to hold your camera steady. Learning to do handheld filmography is kind of something that takes a long time, it takes a lot of practice, and so I'd recommend when you're first starting out, a tripod's your best friend. I'm on a tripod right now. It's just easier to set up and mount your camera and to control, like, you know, just panning and making sure you set your composition exactly how you want it, because that's a lot of what you're doing in the beginning, is like learning how to frame stuff. Another thing that will be helpful if you're going the mobile route is to have backup batteries. So I've got a power supply source here, and you know, I've got some other, you know, portable batteries that you can just hook up to your phone, carry with you, because though our cameras on our phones are awesome, they drain the battery like no other. So having backups is a must. And so yeah guys, those are all the tips I have for getting into filmmaking. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're looking forward to more content like this. And again, thank you guys for checking this stuff out. Like I've said before, my goal with this channel is to bring you along in my filmmaking journey. If it's something that you're excited about, you love movies, you want to learn how to make movies, you want to learn more about the ins and outs of cameras, you're in the right place. And yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate it so much. And until next time, get out there and make some movie magic.